So what actually survives a practicum? 3 things, and none of them is enthusiasm. A fixed night. Not regularly. Not, oh, when I can. A day of the week with a time written down and defended like an appointment with a person you respect. I sat on Thursdays. It was Thursday for a few years. I did not decide each week whether it was a good week for it. The specificity is not fussiness. A practice that happens regularly happens for 3 weeks. A practice that happens on Thursday at 8 p.m. happens for years because it has stopped requiring a decision. And you know from day 18 exactly what happens to a thing that stops requiring a decision. It gets absorbed. It becomes something you do rather than something you choose. A lower bar. And I want to be firm about this because you're going to get it wrong in the direction of ambition. 1 session a week done properly beats 5 sessions a week for a fortnight and then nothing. You've just done 30 consecutive days. You will be tempted to continue at that rate because you're capable of it right now, and it would feel like a loss of standard to do less. Do not. 30 consecutive days was a practicum, a deliberate, temporary intensity with a structure holding you up. It is not a substantial rate, and it was never meant to be. If you try to hold it, you will hold it for a fortnight, and then you'll stop, and the stopping will feel like a failure. You will not come back. Set the bar where you will actually clear it on a bad week, because the bad weeks are the ones that decide this. And the 4 constraints, the freeze, the disconfirmation line, the pen, geometry before meaning, these do not get to lapse when the structure goes away. That was day 22, and it does not expire on day 30. A session without them is not a lighter session. It is not a session. Let me predict what you are about to do, because I've watched people do it and I've done it myself. You're going to choose 3 sessions a week, perhaps 4, and it will feel modest or restrained even, because you have just done 30 in a row and 3 sounds like a considerable step down. It is not modest. 3 sessions a week is 150 sessions a year. That is 5 times what you have just done, sustained indefinitely, with no structure holding you up and no video waiting for you and nobody watching. You will not do it. And when you fail to do it in week 5 or week 9, you will not adjust the target downward. You will conclude that you have lapsed. And a person who believes they have lapsed does not return. They defer. And a deferral is a decision that never has to be made. So choose one. 1 session, 1 fixed night. That is the whole commitment. And I want to defend that properly, because it will feel like an insultingly low bar for someone who has just done 30 consecutive days. 1 session a week is 50 sessions a year. 50 honest, logged, frozen, disconfirmed sessions. In 2 years, that is 100, which is, as it happens, roughly the number of Thursdays that produce this method. If you overshoot, wonderful. Do 3 that week. But to overshoot is a bonus and not the baseline. And the difference between these 2 words is the difference between a practice that exists in 5 years and one that does not. Build a floor. The ceiling takes care of itself. And what is it for? What have you actually got? And what do you do with it? Not answers. You have not acquired an oracle. 30 days did not settle whether any of this is real. I told you on day 25 that it was never going to, and I meant it. And I'm not going to soften it now that we are close to the end. What you have is a capacity for seeing structure. You can look at a situation laid out on a table under filtered conditions with your hands rather than your preferences doing the placing, and you can see what is clustered, what is isolated, what is being held at a distance, and what is refusing to appear at all. That is real. It is yours. You built it out of nothing but discipline and a deck of cards, and nobody can take it from you or argue you out of it because it does not depend on anyone else believing anything. And notice what it is good for, which is not what you thought on day one. It is good for finding the question, not the answer. The question. You sit down with a situation you thought you understood, and the geometry says, there is something being kept at a distance here, deliberately, and nothing is bridging it. And you look at that, and something in you goes very still, because you know exactly what it is, and you had not been letting yourself know. The cards didn't tell you. The geometry showed you a shape, and you supplied the content, and the content was yours all along. That is what this is for. It is an instrument for noticing what you already know and have been declining to look at, which is why the void matters most, and why the 3 inches you never look at are the 3 inches that matter. Your drill. 1. Question in step 0. Session as normal. Sweep first. Every region, fixed order, and only then consult your declared test. That has not changed, and it does not change for the rest of your life. 2. Write the date and time of your first post-practicum session, an actual date. If day 30 is a Sunday, then your first session is when? Write it down tonight while the structure is still holding you up, because the version of you who has just finished will not want to make this decision and will defer it, and the deferral is how this ends. 3. Write the rate. 1 session a week. And when you find yourself writing 3, stop and read the line I gave you again. Build the floor, not the ceiling. 4. Write the 4 constraints on a card. The freeze, the disconfirmation line, the pen, geometry before meaning, and put that card with your deck, not in the book. The book is going on a shelf, and you know it. The deck is what you'll pick up. The card is the entire spatial site method in 4 lines at the point of use. 5. And name what you would do differently if you ran the spatial site practicum again, because you may, and because the answer will tell you something about what you actually learned, as opposed to what you were taught. 3 sessions left. That is day 27. The practicum ends on day 30. The practice does not unless you let it. And the way it ends is not dramatic. Nobody renounces anything. There is simply a Tuesday and then another one, and nothing was ever scheduled. So pick a night, write the date, set the rate absurdly low and keep it. Put the 4 constraints on a card and keep it with the deck, because the spatial site book is going on a shelf and we both know it. 30 days gave you an instrument. It did not give you a Thursday. You have 3 days to choose one. And take this with you. The session that produced this entire spatial site method, the one where I picked up a number game deck alone, months after I met with Psychic Tony from Long Island, and I asked a question and began to shuffle. I did not log it. I no longer remember what I asked. It is written in my own book, and it is the truest sentence in it. That session is gone. I cannot score it. I never will. And it was the most important one of my life. Your log is already more complete than the session that started all of this. Not because you're more gifted than I was, because you wrote it down for 30 days, including the boring ones, including the night you doubted the whole enterprise, including the night something you cared about died, and you wrote that down too. The pen is part of the instrument. I learned that by not having one. You learned it on day 15 from someone who had already paid for it. Do not put the pen down on day 31. You're not asked to believe. You're asked to record. I'm Dr. Rivka Edery, and I'm signing off on day 27, and I'm so looking forward to seeing you tomorrow on day 28. Thank you, take care, and goodbye for now.